Good morning and welcome to The Art of Composition. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. I was online last night looking for more articles on the harmonic armature, and I came across an article that demonstrates how an artist, her name is Arleta Pech, I believe that's how you say it, is using the 14-line armature, also known as the harmonic armature, and I just printed up a PDF of it. I will attach it to this video lecture, and I'll just simply take one of her paintings and show you how she's using that design system, the armature, and how she's using all the diagonal lines of the grid. Hopefully the artist and photographer is finding these video lectures useful. I know they might appear repetitive, and I do a lot of these, but I think it's important to show a variety of artists when it comes to this information, because not every artist uses design in the same way, even though they are using the same system of design. There are two systems of design that artists, a classically trained artist, will generally use: dynamic, symmetry, and the harmonic armature. To learn more about those, you can download my free user's guide, as well as pick up the book Classical Painting Atelier. You can find that on the front page of my website, and it's a great book. All of Aristides' books are fantastic, so check it out. All right, so let me get started. I'm just going to draw the 14-line grid and show you what Arleta is doing here. This won't be a very long video lecture today. I found this painting interesting. I have this as an example in my user's guide, actually, and I find it interesting because a lot of the diagonal lines are being played out here, so I'll show you what I mean by that. For example, just dropping the two main diagonal lines, you can see right away in the area right here, she's using this diagonal line, as well as here and here, but also up in here. So just by dropping two lines, she's already using the diagonals. So let me continue on here. If you have any questions about this information, you can always drop me a note. If you go to any page on my website and click on the chat button, or sometimes it says for all questions, you can drop me an email, and I'm pretty quick to respond. When I drop this diagonal line here, notice that it's picking up the angle here in depth. And you can use the diagonal lines in the armature to show depth in a painting. In other words, perspective. The angles can be used to demonstrate perspective, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense as well. And I am looking for blog post articles on the harmonic armature. They are very difficult to find, in the sense of there aren't a lot of articles written on this topic. There's a lot of research that goes into this website, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but I don't think people realize how much research goes into finding information on this topic, because there's not a lot written on it. And what is out there, I have to say this, I was online this morning looking at an article from, I don't even know if this guy was an artist or not, but he was talking about the golden section. And one thing I noticed when I read articles about the golden section online, the authors that are writing these articles, they don't know a damn thing about design, because they always lump everything into two terms: the rule of thirds and the golden section. And what they fail to realize is that design incorporates a lot of different concepts, not just the rule of thirds and not just the golden section. The golden section is one tiny aspect of design, but because they don't have any knowledge on real design, they tend to lump all these together. I've seen photographers do this, and artists do it as well. And it's interesting because I didn't read the full article because it was so long-winded and mathematical, but again, the conclusion was that basically dynamic symmetry was a waste of time. You know, when I read stuff like this, it kind of blows my mind, because it shows me how much people really don't know about this topic. So, all right. So I have the 14 line grid out. Let me just point out a few things here. I'm going to get rid of the center lines for now. If you notice in all of these diagonal lines, look at how the artist is using the diagonal lines in perspective as well as angles in the composition. There are a lot of angles and perspective. There's a lot of diagonals and angles being played out here. And it's interesting, like I just said, because the artist is using them to demonstrate depth. But I would take the time to study this painting because very rarely do you find compositions where they're incorporating a lot of the diagonal lines at once. And I do have some examples from the book, The Painter's Secret Geometry, but because the armature can be used in many, many ways, in other words, you can plot a lot of horizontal and vertical divisions using all of these diagonal lines, it's really endless. And it's amazing at how each artist can use it in the way they want to. It's so flexible. But I suggest that the viewer studies how all of these angles are being played out. Like I said, you have here in this area here, you have all these diagonal lines being played out in the petals. This is following the edge. This is following in perspective. This diagonal line here is being played out here as well. All of these diagonal lines are really coming into play. But, you know, you can drop a few horizontal and vertical lines here too. I'm getting the edge of the cup there, and then I can drop a vertical here, which gives me the edge of the cup as well. And you will find certain divisions being played out again right here, framing in this area here horizontally. And you can play around with this. My recommendation is grab a painting and drop the 14 line grid on it to see what you can find. It's really helpful. But I hope this video helps a little bit. Check out the article. They're always very short. They're a page or two. But I like them because they're so simple that it provides the artist and photographer a launching point to learning more on their own. But thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it, as always.